hopefully whatever comes out of my mouth in the next few seconds or minutes makes any sort of sense. What's going on, guys? My name is Matthew. I am a 3D sculptor, and currently I have 2 conventions coming up, which is how I make most of my income, conventions and commissions. And I kind of want to branch out more, make more content, and for the most part, document my process. So this is what this is basically going to be about. I have 4 keychains, new keychains that I want to make, and this is going to be the first one. It's based off of One Piece, a drawing I made from One Piece that I try to give a bit of an artistic spin, because I don't like the whole copy, paste, and print sort of aspect. That makes me feel kind of like, not disingenuous, but anyone could do that. So I'm kind of like leaning towards that. Also, I don't want to get, cease and desisted. That would suck. So, but yeah, for the most part, this is what the fan art looks like. Fan art? I don't know. I'm not going to call it art because I can't draw. But that's what we're going to be trying to convert into 3D to make into our first keychain, first of 4. So yeah, if you're interested, keep on watching, and yeah. So I started off in ZBrush with a basic block out of the skull, which at first it looked more like a deformed thing than a skull, but with this type of stuff you just have to keep digging, pulling, adding, and subtracting until you get something that vaguely resembles a reference. And honestly, it's rinse and repeat until it looks, well, good. Some of the footage of me sculpting the teeth got lost, but it's essentially just duplicating and moving around each individual tooth until it resembles a whole mouth. Usually I aim to have everything be a little asymmetrical so it could look a little more realistic, but since this keychain is going to be so small, there didn't really seem to be much of a point in trying to do something that nobody would actually even see. So once I was done with that, I moved on to adding some of the bigger details. I started adding the basic block out of his straw hat and then the food in his mouth. When I was trying to come up with the reference, I wasn't really sure what to do to make it more unique, but I mean, it's Luffy we're talking about. If there's one thing we can attribute to him besides the straw hat, the guy likes to eat. So I realized, okay, let's add some type of food in there, and that's what I did. So yeah, and from there we could just continue on to refining everything until it looked good. Since this will be a keychain using bas relief, quick side note, a bas relief is basically just a type of sculpture where the design is slightly raised from a flat background, kind of like a carved image that doesn't stick out too much. Or just think of a coin. I don't need to sculpt with as much detail than I normally do, since it won't really translate much when it gets, flying into a 2D surface. Once I got all the basic shapes in, I started posing everything and making some adjustments until the sculpt looked similar enough to the reference that I was satisfied. So after finishing the entire sculpt, I decided to start the process of turning it into a bas relief. Right now I'm just kind of playing with it and trying to see how it works for the most part. And once I got it figured out, I started poly modeling the coin that I wanted to have it on. I didn't know if I was gonna make it a coin at first, or I was gonna have it be like the outline of the skeleton, but after a while I decided to just let it be a coin, and here I am just adding a bit of weathering to the coin. I want to make it look like it's been through combat or just overall been used for a very long time. And here I am just adding in a little inscription in the back of it. MDL standing for Monkey D. Luffy, of course. And once we finished that, all I had to do after that was really just add the loop that we're going to be putting the keychain through, and the project was over. The render came out really nice, and I only really use these type of renders just to have a gauge of what I'm going to be doing when I print it and actually paint it. So let's get on to that next. Alright, so we were able to finish the print yesterday. This is it right here. It came out pretty well. It's probably gonna need just a little bit of TLC, nothing crazy, and honestly it came out pretty great. No real blemishes or any accidents. The only thing that we have to fix is just sanding this surface just to make it a little more smooth, like in the actual reference, but for the most part it came out amazing. So we're just gonna get on to prepping for painting and get right into it. So I'll see you guys there. Alright, so to start off, we're just gonna give it like a light little sanding and just make sure the back is flat. As you can see, it has all these little support lines on it, or well, if the camera focuses, yeah, you can see all those little supports. So we're just gonna sand it down with probably something not too abrasive, something a little lighter. I'm gonna probably sand it with these sticks, and then should be good from there. Yep. As you can see, with a little bit of light sanding, we basically fixed most of the layer line issues. It focuses. Most of the layer lines out, and we're able to virtually get it to a pretty flat surface, which is really good. So yeah, and now I'm just gonna take off this rimmed edge of supports, and we should be good from there. With that all good, now we could go on to essentially just starting to paint now. So as soon as I get this cleaned up from all this sand, we should be able to start painting. So yeah, see you guys there. Alright, so we got the coin primed, and now in order to basically give it a base so that we can use the rub and buff, we have to use a gloss black. So I'm going to be using this Alclad gloss black base, and it goes on really shiny. I'm just going to do a little test spray. Okay, so that's good. And then we're just going to spray. Probably in the sunlight a little more, yeah. Okay. So from what you can see, it looks a bit better. Hopefully it dries pretty fast, but it should be good. So yeah. All in all, after this ends up drying, I'm gonna move on to using the rub and buff, and then we're just gonna give it a little gold coat, and then from there it should be done. Alright, so I went for a little more top-down view so it'd be easy for you guys to see. The Alclad gloss black has dried, and it looks amazing, especially when you look at it in the sunlight. So now all we're gonna do, honestly, I wouldn't mind just making black versions of this coin. It looks so nice, but you probably wouldn't be able to see it not unless seeing the light. So yeah, all we're gonna do now is add some rub and buff to basically give it that gold look. The great thing about rub and buff is literally it's just rubbing you buff. There's no real, that's it. You don't really gotta think when you do it. Usually I just take a sponge. Well, this is the first time I'm doing this with this type of coin, so who knows if it might end out different, but I'm gonna do it with this sponge. Just get it in there, let it ding a little, and then now we're gonna just that's the ending result. Looks really nice. Looks way better in the light too now. Looks like a real coin. It's really beautiful. Okay. Wow. So we got the print finished. Came out really well for the first keychain of all. Will it sell well? I couldn't tell you. I can't travel to the future, but what I can say is I really enjoyed making it. You could use it on your lanyard, of course, bags, pants even. I'm not gonna dictate what you do. But yeah, I had a really good time making this. I'm definitely gonna post this on my Etsy, link in the description. I'm gonna have to make quite a few, so I'll definitely have a few over there as a spare. And if you enjoyed, like, comment, even subscribe in any order you want.
and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.